We have a client we've been working with. They're like, hey, what's the thing that we can do to make the biggest impact? And they're like, what if we throw in another 200,000? I was like, hold on, your landing page views is 55%. That's measured in the fact of we look at how many people were outbound clicks against how many landing page views were successful. And when we saw only 60% of the people that intended to leave Meta actually got to your landing page to allow that pixel to trigger, you've lost tens of thousands of potential customers. So if you were to just fix your website speed based off of in-app click metrics, it's assumed you will generate more sales, more bookings, more of what you actually want.
Hello and welcome to the Perpetual Traffic Podcast. I'm Ralph Burns, the founder and CEO of Tier 11.
And I'm Lauren Petrillo, the founder of Mongoose Media.
So glad you joined us here today. And Lauren, I'm actually pretty excited because this weekend we're actually going to meet face to face to do an actual live podcast, unless, some kind of flight delay gets in the way or worlds collide. There's a tornado, there's a hurricane, some sort of major event. You fall off a bicycle.
I still have not healed. My shin is still healing.
Well, there's no bicycles in Brookline, so it's just Ubers. Just as like a 10-minute ride from the. So Lauren's flying in. She's got a big layover on her way to Italy, right? So you're gonna be you're gonna be recording the next couple of weeks in Italy. That's pretty cool.
There's a few places. I think we're going to like Faro, Porto, Seville, Barcelona, then Italy.
That's pretty awesome.
So
I expect some very cool backgrounds like villas. And, lemon trees, all that sort of thing, and those big like spindly trees that they have in the middle part of Italy there.
I will strive and endeavor to have a unique background each time.
All right, appreciate that. Well, today is we're finishing up finally the series on really reporting, but actually measurement on our MPIs, our marketing performance indicators, which you can get the entire download plus all the resources that are attached to it. We've just added more and more to this thing. So if you got it way back when it was sort of a basic checklist, we've added so much more to it now. Now it has videos, and an entire page on Tier 11 dedicated to these things if you want to go into it deeper. But obviously, you can get that over at perpetualtraffic.com/MPI. Even if you put in MPIs, you still go to the same page. You can get it at Tier 11 too. But head on over to perpetualtraffic.com/MPIs. Today, we're going to knock off like the last three here. We're going to talk about the ones. We're not going to go through it like we're going through a textbook. We're going to take these and talk about them, like how we apply them and why they're important. And there's a reason why these are the last ones, because these are the last ones, in my opinion, especially if you're doing any sort of media mix modeling or if you have multiple channels. ROAS, in-app ROAS is probably one of those things that could lead you astray. We've talked about that before. If you're single channel, if you're just advertising on Meta, and you're not doing anything else, you're just advertising on Google, great. Like your in-app ROAS actually does help. So there is that. But once you start going to multiple channels, and we talked about this in our previous episode with Wicked Scott and why it's so important to have a third-party attribution software that does pull from the source of truth, in-app ROAS is less useful and it's less important. It's still important. There's no doubt about it. Like it has its value, but it's less important overall the more channels you actually have. Is that safe to assume? Do you believe that over at Mongoose Media as well?
Absolutely. Obviously in-app numbers in general, and ROAS gives leading indicators to performance in channel. But in terms of importance of the owner, the overall marketing efficiency and how you're spending, it's skewed as not as important.
Right. So that's one of those that is here. So I think we've talked about ROAS a fair amount. So obviously we'll talk about it many, many more times. But one of the more interesting ones is two of the other ones that are MPIs 13 and 14, which is cost per click, which is in-app cost per click in most cases, whether it's Meta Google. Let's just stick with the big ones for right now. Meta Google. Obviously, you and I are mostly Meta people, and we have people that do the Google for us on the inside. But we sort of grew up. Actually, I shouldn't really say that. I started as a Google guy and then switched over to Meta. And now I'm sort of both, as well as CPA, which is cost per acquisition, and that's usually measured in app. So let's talk about CPC. So you have a little bit of an axe to grind with CPC in general. So I know you guys use a lot of instant forms, and obviously you're pretty meta heavy. What is it specifically about CPC? And for those who don't know what that is cost per click. So, and it is a measure of, there's a lot of different ways to actually measure this. There's unique cost per click, there's link cost per click, and there's all cost per click, and then there's outbound cost per click. So let's get into all the different varieties and how you guys use them, or how you sort of see them here to measure the effectiveness of ads. Is typically as a secondary indicator in most cases to determine how far people even go down a funnel, how far or how much engagement you're getting up front on cold traffic. There's a lot of different ways to use it. So what's your thoughts overall just on CPC in general?
So unique outbound clicks is going to be a really important cost per click to measure, because unless you're doing an in-app conversion like an instant forms, you need to know and identify, are people taking your desired action, which is leaving Meta to go to your external website. However, there's additional CPCs, essentially different clicks that we measure beyond the ones that you actually use. So we look at see more rate. We look at thumb stop or hook rate. We're looking at other clicks within the ad itself, because there's clicks to comments, there's clicks to engagements, there's clicks to your call to action. So that's what a link click is. So whatever your button is, learn more, download now, that's your link click. And I will say that like my axe to grind thing that bothers me more than it should, is that as much as like instant forms is amazing, it's the most effective lead generation tool in my opinion across all platforms, is that after you submit your form, you're given an end screen. And Meta has conditional logic, which allows different end screens, including an end screen that kicks out any undesired leads. There is a call to action on that end screen that there is absolutely zero measurement for. It's an in-app button inside the Instant Forms ecosystem, and it has choice words, for my opinion, of how friggin' useless Meta is on not articulating the efficacy of that end result. Because you've captured a qualified lead, you've asked them, like 12, 15 questions. You are only allowing in the people you actually want in, and you provide them next steps like scheduling an appointment, seeing the landing page, joining the Facebook group, whatever that next step is in the funnel. None of that data is imported back to see what is the conversion into your progression. So that's just like, in terms of in-app clicks and in-app measurements, they don't have the same weight of importance as a lot of the other ones that we were talking about. When you're looking though at how this ad, this campaign is performing, it's so important to know at large, like what's happening here. And part of that story is completely hidden, and it's okay. I'm gonna be nice about it, but
is it measured in clicks all at all? Can you do like the math backwards if you sort of only have like one or two steps? Is it possible?
So that's a really good question, because that's how we isolate see more click and how we isolate like our hook rate. So we can take that out. So when you build inside the Meta ecosystem, you can build custom formulas, right? And so you can go in the templates, you click on like the 3 lines, do your old custom reporting, and you can build a custom formula where if you look at clicks, you have all clicks, and then you could look at, there's like engagement clicks, there's all the different ones, and then you can isolate see more, which is after the first 100 characters. That's essentially your subject line before an ad. That is a really important click to understand, because if people aren't clicking see more, they're not consuming the rest of your content. If they don't consume, they're not going to convert anyways. So that's an in-app metric to determine, is your audience responding and resonating to your hook, to your offer.
Right.
But I have yet to find anything that allows me to isolate that last button, because that last button doesn't have a name. And, years ago, Meta had given the industry standard had been 1 to 5% of what percentage of people from an instant form are going to click on that next button. Now, that was at a time when instant forms were trash. They were useless. It was a high amount of volume and a low amount of quality. Since then, instant forms have evolved, especially in the last year and a half, and that is still not there. So we've had tests where we've measured and are guessing based off of how many people go to this page. Like, you can do the landing page view, you can do custom conversions based off of URL. There's a lot of different ways that you can work your way around it, but there's no definitive way to understand the only in-app click I actually care about with regards to lead generation. So it's like 40 to 50-ish% right now are what we're seeing taking the next step, but that's grossly loaded based off of a whole bunch of external factors where it's guessing with like some evidence, but it's still like a logical guess. And I'd like that click. So any Meta people listening, please, please, please fix it.
So it's safe to say that's, if you had that, I think mathematically, like if you have if you're saying a 50 to 60% take rate, you're figuring out like what your click-through rate actually is on that final page.
Yeah.
So you're having to do some sort of math. Do you customize your columns inside the platform in order to figure that out? Or, because this is like deeper in the funnel, if you're using instant forms, obviously, like these are all numbers that you want to measure. Like, how is your message resonating, obviously, in your ad, in your form itself? What's your conversion rate once they actually do answer however many questions, or, check the radio buttons, whatever it happens to be, ultimately to get to that final page. Do you try to do the math backwards? I guess it's more of a convoluted question.
We'll take it in where it's like we're taking in CRM data and we're bringing outside numbers backwards in. But for the most part, it's just kind of the like, this is what we know to be true. We look at a month's worth of data. We know how many individuals completed the form, and we know how many individuals have physically entered a Facebook group or who have physically engaged in the email and actually accessed the lead magnet. So, because we can have that trigger back into the CRM. So it's outside going in. It's not something we're doing all the time. It was just something of I need to know and understand what is that percentage. And that's what we found to be true. But, what is good in looking at some of those in-app clicks is you're able to look at the link click, which is that call to action button. So let's say an instant form generates 1,000 link clicks a day, to which you only have 600 people complete the instant form. So then you have that stop loss. There's 400 people that started the form but didn't complete the form. That then has potential retargeting options too later. So that you can see clear as day, and you can customize your columns. What we do at Mongoose Media every Tuesday, so we're recording on Tuesday, so we had this like long meeting earlier with all of our media buyers. We have a PPC client weekly tracker, which has, I'm just like looking at it now, 39 different in-app metrics that we use and we look at a weekly basis, with a lot of them being clicks, like it's spend, CPM, clicks, cost per click, click through all, thumb stop rate, which is hook rate, see more rate, outbound clicks, cost per outbound click, and it keeps going for us to see how the campaigns are performing in general. And then we can look at that, because it's in a Google Sheet column over column, to see are there trends and what are some of the small levers that make big changes, like Dr. Cialdini talked about. So we'll look at those components that are dictated in in-app metrics that can be influential to the greater marketing picture, and small things like this. Like we have a client we've been working with, they're like, hey, what's the thing that we can do to make the biggest impact? And they're like, what if we throw in another 200,000? I was like, hold on, your landing page views is 55%. That's measured in the fact of we look at how many people were outbound clicks against how many landing page views were successful. And when we saw only 50, 60% of the people that intended to leave Meta actually got to your landing page to allow that pixel to trigger, you've lost tens of thousands of potential customers. So if you were to just fix your website speed based off of in-app click metrics, it's assumed you will generate more sales, more bookings, more of what you actually want from this one little component that we take from an in-app number that tells a greater story, all about clicks. So that was a lot.
That's a lot. So explain to us the difference between on the outbound click side of the equation. Like in what cases do you look at outbound clicks and what is it, first off, in case people don't know what it is, but then link clicks, unique clicks, and clicks. Like there's a lot of presets here. Maybe you could just go through all that vocabulary wise, just so we can get clear. And then, because we've sort of talked about like in-app clicks, like obviously for instant forms, but like what do all of these mean? And in what cases should you be zeroed in to say, all right, like outbound clicks are the ones that I really should be looking at here, because that's indicative of more in line with whatever the goal of the client is. So like, how do you break all of those down? Because there's, I think since the last time I've looked in here, there's probably like 5 or 6 more and now obviously there's thumb stops. There's a lot of other things like that. We won't even get into any of those.
Yeah, that's a custom formula that I made. That's not native. You have to build those custom formulas based off of impressions and calculations. But the ones that are like super native that people mostly talk about, I was just going to go into customized reports and like see all the clicks. But link click is the button. Learn more, download now. Outbound click is a click that takes you where the destination is off Meta. And so that might be a link that's inside your ad copy. That might be a link that's inside of a comment. That might be a destination on the link click that you provided. Technically, it could be buried inside of the end form page of the instant form, because that is an outbound click. So technically, if we were to reverse engineer to that, but it's not worthy enough for us to like go that extra mile. It's just something that Meta should fix, because it's in-app. But outbound click is you're currently on a Meta URL, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, or Facebook, and the end destination is not one of those entities. So that's an outbound click. A link click is specific to the button. A unique outbound click then allows you to see as a per user experience, because you might have someone that's just super click happy. They're clicking on everything, or they're constantly seeing your ads. You don't want someone who clicked it, went back, and then clicked that same button to conflate your numbers. And then there's one more you said.
Clicks all, unique clicks, which you touched on, outbound clicks, unique outbound clicks, link clicks. And I don't think we actually hit on clicks, because clicks is everything. Is everything, meaning like if you click to comment, if you click to go to the page, if you clicked, the image, or you clicked anywhere on my understanding is like if you click anywhere on the ad, you click by mistake and it doesn't go anywhere, that's still like a click. So it's like a catch-all for all the individual clicks. So it's a lot of people used to just use just clicks, because clicks are
way.
Yeah.
A comment's a click, a like is a click, a heart is a click. But oh my gosh, Ralph, I'm like literally, I just opened up the customized columns and I typed in clicks, and there's 13 different results, plus an additional 3, including like phone number clicks, get direction clicks, in-app clicks, which are dependent on the specific conversion objective.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, Meta, I could be wrong. I am looking at instant experience clicks to start, clicks to open, and instant experience outbound clicks. Oh my gosh, wait, hold on. Is this real? How long has this been in there? I've never seen instant experience outbound clicks, which is where if we were just talking about the outbound clicks being, if you were to reverse, oh my gosh, sorry. Okay.
Well, we should talk about that, because I don't think we've ever actually really discussed it. Because going back in here doing the research for today's show, I noticed that instant experience, like those metrics are there that were never there before.
Yeah.
So just being aware of that just unto itself, if it's new to us, then, I don't know whether it's the last, month or so, but the point is if it's new to us, it's probably new to a lot of the listeners.
Oh, like I'll share my screen. Like, look at this. I'm so excited. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can just see just the like emotional roller coaster I'm going through right now. But like you type in clicks, right? So we have clicks. We have clicks, all estimated confirmation. Look at this instant experience. Clicks to
Yep.
open, clicks. Ah! Oh my gosh. And then here's, like I said, those are based off of conversion objectives. But look at these beautiful three.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah.
Instant experience clicks to open. That's a new one. Well, either it's been in there for a while, but like we haven't talked about instant experience really at all. I mean, we've used, obviously, we talked about forms, instant forms, talked about, I mean, obviously this outbound clicks to your landing page, your website, your collection page, or, product page, whatever it happens to be. But like those are really interesting metrics. Those are in-app metrics that show you, and I don't think that many people really use instant experience.
I don't think they do. And I'm wondering
Underutilized.
if they're pulling instant forums into instant experience, because instant experience, or those that don't know, it's like a full ad where you have a more immersive ad. A lot of people will do this for e-commerce because they're able to tell a much greater story. We know that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and then a video is worth 1,000 times more. And when you have an instant experience, you get to have this, in-app experiential, as if you're in a store kind of environment. So you can have a landing page created, you do insights. So there's a lot that goes to it. And so I'm just wondering if they're leveraging the instant experiences to take the information for instant forms and just, how like there's the Advantage Plus, there's multiple Advantage Plus audiences, Advantage Plus budget, Advantage Plus placements. Like there's 3 different items related to Advantage Plus, even though they're individual products. I wonder if instant products can have that role. Sorry, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to test, because we have accounts that aren't using instant experience as a type of ad. And so we can see if we're generating instant experience numbers, such as outbound clicks, on accounts that aren't using that instant experience. Sorry. Oh my gosh, Ralph, forgive me. I'm just so excited.
There's a lot to look at here, and I think we should actually sort of maybe even break it down. I'm creating sort of an instant, I wouldn't say an instant, but a customized column, for clicks, because there's been so much that's been added here just recently. An instant experience, clicks to open, clicks to start, outbound clicks, like that's a lot. Like there's far more data in here. There's far more ability to be able to optimize instant experience. So that might be an area of opportunity, I think, because a lot of folks really don't utilize that a whole lot.
No.
Or like one of the larger clients that we've had for years has always had sort of a really, really slow site. So we have advocated for instant experience for years and years, and it's really helped their business a tremendous amount, because you would lose that landing page view, because just like what you were saying before, when they changed over to instant experience. And at that point in time, I think it was Canvas. If you remember.
It was. Oh, I remember Canvas. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was transformative because their site speed was so slow, it was so loaded down. There's nothing really we could do about it. It was on it was not on Shopify. I forget, it was like Volusion or something, like an antiquated e-commerce software. It's just like we could never speed up their site, and we were losing all this traffic as a result of it. And then when they started switching over to instant experience, at that point, Canvas, all of a sudden everything improved. Like their CPCs reduced by half, CPAs by half, looking all in-app metrics. So these are areas where like you can do so much more with instant experience than you ever could. Like I think it's one of the more underutilized tools inside of Meta. And it's amazing to me that Meta really doesn't talk about it all that much, because they're so caught up in Reels and sort of competing with, obviously, the bigger competitors from China. The point is that there's an opportunity here, because I'll guarantee you that's going to be an experience that's really going to be unique for a user. And you've got now these click metrics within the app itself, which is super useful and super helpful to be able to determine like exactly how effective your designs really are.
Yeah. I think that for anyone that's listening and that's like, wait, what is instant experience? We're talking about all these like click metrics. Like, again, it's a type of ad that you can run that gives you more real estate in feed. At the end of the day, that should be your biggest argument. my phone is the size of a small tablet. It's massive,
Yeah.
which means that I can have 2 ads showing in my feed. But when you use an instant experience, you're expanding to have a full page takeover while in feed, or to have, if you're using like the instant collections kind of piece, you can have other products in a carousel under your hero image. So for us, at least, we do a lot of ads in the 4x5, the 2000 by 2500 size format, so that on certain phones we can occupy as much real estate as possible, or we keep the middle 1080 the core content because of sizing. But this instant experience allows you to show more and tell more and block more,
Yeah.
which gives you more opportunities for clicks, because then you're also like kind of cheating the system because you're giving such variety. Something I want to say like launched like 2, maybe 3 months ago was like the equivalent of site links within within Meta ads, because then you can add different URLs, again, more clicks that can show you in-app numbers that provide insight to the campaign and the offer's success, performance, and opt-in. Because a lot of what you're doing on platforms like Meta, you're doing discovery towards interested parties, and maybe they're not interested in the most immediate thing you're presenting to them. But if you have similar style products, or you have similar links that are important, like FAQs, billing policies, things of that nature, you can add in as site links, you're giving the user more to observe and consume. And when you invite them to learn more and are more transparent, right? It's again, going back to like Dr. Cialdini, it's like ethical uh, honesty, because you're providing them what they want versus assuming what they need.
Right. Right. No, 100%. The one thing that we haven't touched on here is, like, we've been talking about clicks, and I think if you haven't gone into columns inside, and we're talking about Meta specifically here. If you're
Yeah.
a Google advertiser, we can have John talk about this at some point, because I know he uses, these are like secondary metrics. There's a reason why these are 13, 14, 15 in our MPI
Yeah.
checklist, which you can get over at perpetualtraffic.com/MPI. But you can create your own unique view just using all of these different metrics, and what does it actually mean to you, and looking at it and analyzing it. And if you're buying media, this is something that if you can't figure out what's wrong with your ads, or maybe it's like, I look at clicks a lot of, like, that is a measure of engagement on your ad, just
Yeah.
as a general rule of thumb. So the more clicks, typically the better, but not necessarily, because sometimes you're just, I mean, you're optimizing for maybe traffic in some cases. It depends on what your campaign objective is. If you're optimizing for sales, clicks, like, it doesn't necessarily matter how many clicks you get. More clicks, probably the better in most cases, but what actually happens afterwards, what's your conversion rate? But this is a secondary metric that you should use in order to decipher, like, what's the engagement of your ad? How can you potentially improve the conversion rate after the click itself? But also, like, you can also diagnose in this particular case, if you're using alternative types of ads, like the ones that we just discussed, there is a lot more in here than I think we ever really thought. So you might want to, if you have not done instant experience in quite some time, this might be a good time to get back into it, because there's some metrics in here that didn't previously exist. Taking everything away from, and I know our time is limited here, but how about when you have no click? Do you have many? Do you have do you have ads where, like, the entire goal of the ad itself is just pure awareness? So
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So where
I thought you were saying
look,
like no clicks. I was like, how do you have such a bad ad that there is absolutely 0 clicks? Because every ad still has the Facebook page profile. Every ad still has comments and engagement pieces. So I was like, oh my gosh, 0 clicks? Oh. But if you're not optimizing for, like, we are using reach campaigns right now. And I know it like is contrarian to think that you're introducing reach campaigns, but you have to remember we're managing like big funnel accounts. And when you're able to build a full funnel within any ad platform, you're able to provide greater distribution of touch points that indicate higher quality of wherever you are in your buyer's life cycle. And so we have campaigns, we do video view campaigns, and we do reach campaigns where our whole goal is consumption, not clicking. And so part of that with video views is the video is automatically playing. So they don't have to click anything. They may not click anything, and their only click is to scroll, but we're still able to capture their attention. And if they're consuming more than 3 seconds, more than 15 seconds, which is the through play, if they're consuming a percentage of the video, we're able to use that for retargeting, for signals to Meta of a higher quality indication of what they're interested in. So even though it's not going for a landing page view traffic click, if it's not going for a custom conversion, like where we'll bring in like GTM metrics of scroll depth or time on the subsequent pages. Sorry. Did you hear my dog?
That was a dog.
He was like...
He agreed.
He agreed. Orlandino.
Orlandino says, I like reach campaigns. That's what he says.
Most people don't. And so those are campaign. That's what's working for us now, using video view objectives and using reach campaigns that aren't driving towards a click. Sometimes we'll incorporate a call to action. So we'll have a link click, like a button in which they can engage, but not necessarily always. But we use those because we identify the people that engage with that content they start to consume, they're opting into our brand, to which then we can have them opt into our offer, our service, or whatever our actual end goal is. But we find it more cost effective to get people, a larger audience, opting into our brand where their objective isn't conversion focused. It's cheaper. Where, especially if you're doing like local campaigns and you have a limited audience, like you physically drive in market, if you're using a reach type of objective, you're going to everyone, not just the people that are likely to take the conversion objective you've put inside of your ad campaign. So if you are doing a localized campaign, so you're targeting the Boston area and your campaign objective is only conversions, you're optimizing for that click that leads to a conversion, but you might have a lot of people in market that aren't likely to convert because of that ad. So Meta's not going to serve your ad to them. We use reach and video views, like the engagement campaigns, to force our brand in front of them to potentially opt in for, to which then later we'll serve them with a conversion type of campaign, or they'll be inside our entire marketing media mix where they'll see us retargeting from Google ads and Taboola and email and SMS and everything in between.
Yeah. The effectiveness of those is really, really hard to measure. Like we've done brand awareness studies through Meta. I don't know if you've done the brand awareness.
When they give us money, they give us money to test it. I'm like, sure, we'll do it.
Right. But I find I'm looking in one of our campaigns right now. We have a reach campaign going and the CPM is $3. And the conversion campaign is $37. So you're just getting cheaper traffic in your interest group. And these are both like large lookalike audiences in both of these campaigns and both of these ad sets that I'm looking at right now. But the point is that this is a way to get your ideal audience like in front of your product. And a very cheap way to do it because they have an interest. There's an interest-based audience or there's a lookalike. They're not all converters. They're not all, zero moment of truth, like ready to buy right now. And, people, what is it? 1, maybe 2% people that you advertise to are actually in market right now. So what do you do with the other 98, 97, 99%? It's these types of campaigns. And what we typically find is the video campaigns at very, very top of funnel. And then you sort of bring them in and you capture those audiences using video views, using reach, especially through video, and then slowly bring them through. I'm actually doing a presentation at Meta in October about this very thing and how we were able to do this in a number of different clients because it's counterintuitive. The point
Okay,
is
wait,
that,
pause. Can we just acknowledge what a flex that is?
the point
Okay,
is
wait,
that
pause. Can we just acknowledge what a flex that is that you're just trying to so humbly mention right now?
yeah, that just happened last night. I have to put the presentation together by Friday. But no, the point is that it's a great way of using what they refer to as full funnel and
Mhm.
using different objectives and not just relying on the conversion campaign, because you're only getting a small subset of that audience that's actually in market right now or that
Yep.
is converted in the past. So you have to sort of think about the objectives objectively. And then how do you actually expand your market? How do you go above the market and create your own demand and create your own brand? And you do that through reach, video view, sometimes brand awareness. Brand awareness for us hasn't worked as well, but when I do a deep
The
dive
tests
on
say they
that,
do.
yeah,
They're like, look, they had more ad recall.
I will say this. I will have a case study for you prior to that presentation that we will do
Yeah.
here on the show.
Deals.
So anyway, so make sure that you get over to perpetualtraffic.com/MPI, download the checklist. That it sort of ends our sermon, our our sermon on the mount on reporting and measurement.
Mm,
But obviously these are secondary metrics. There's a whole lot here. If you haven't explored
so
instant
much.
experience, definitely check it out because this is exciting. I've got to hop over to a tier 11 leadership call here, and I'm going to say, have we done instant experience recently? Because we should be. Anyway, make sure that wherever you listen to podcasts, you leave us a nice review or a rating. We really appreciate that. That way we get to a
We
larger
do. We
audience.
love
We
you.
do. And thank you so much for everyone who has left a rating and a review recently. We've
We
got
love
to
you
read
more.
these on air, and we will, of course. And make sure that you check us out over on our YouTube channel and at this perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. And I've obviously mentioned the MPIs checklist. If you haven't gotten that by now, I don't know what you've been waiting for, but definitely get that. So on behalf of my awesome co-host, Lauren Petrullo,
Ciao.
till next show, see ya.